It's a Pac-12 preview game this week in Pullman, Washington, as the Aztecs go up against future conference foe, Washington State, and try to stay undefeated in this young season. Hello and welcome to Aztecs All In, the podcast that, as the title suggests, goes all in on San Diego State athletics. I'm Weiner along with Steve Perez. Fresh off a 42-0 shutout win, the Aztecs will hit the road for the first time. Let's say hello to my partner in podcasting, Mr. Steve Perez. Hey, Steve, how are you?
Doing well, as they say. Yep, some controllables to control for the Aztecs, and we'll talk about that in the piece I have upcoming, along with some other things related to the players. But continue, sir.
Looking forward to it. You know, Steve, this will be a CW tilt Saturday night, kickoff at 7:25, and the Cougars are led by first-year head coach Jimmy Rogers, and he actually won an FCS national championship at South Dakota State in 2023. Cougars lead the all-time series 2-1 after last year's 29-26 win over the Aztecs at Snapdragon, and this will be the first time they meet in Pullman. And Washington State, Steve, sits as a 1.5-point favorite, so this game seems to be evenly matched, so to speak. At least the odds makers think so.
Should be a humdinger of a game, Lewis. And that TV coverage on the CW, you're going to have to do a little homework if you want to figure out how to view it in San Diego, because where the channel sits depends on your service. I think it's either 6 or 9, depending upon your cable provider. And of course, if you have that old school OTA over the air, it's 8.2. Or for our Spanish listeners, 8.2. It's on TV because it's part of that extended partnership with the Pac-12. The CW has it through the 2030 season. And, of course, this Pac-12 is launching for the 26-20 season, and it continues on through the end of that term, as I just mentioned. Consistent regular season presence on the CW. That's a good chance for national exposure for the Aztecs. And at last count, the CW reaches just over 98% of TV homes in the U.S. Wikipedia also says CW network affiliates over-the-air coverage. That's, traditional broadcast TV. It's available in all the top 100 Nielsen-ranked markets. Hey, by the way, one more ad about the TV coverage. Noted by Kirk Kenney of the Union Tribune earlier in the week. He notes that there is a NASCAR series event that goes on prior to the football coverage. He notes that last week that event ran long in front of the Idaho-Washington State game, so viewers had to switch to see the start of the football game at CWTV.com, and that will be a fact of life until that auto race, NASCAR, one of the biggest spectator sports in the land, is finished. But still, an opportunity to maybe catch a few NASCAR fans who want to check out some football nationwide. Right, Lewis?
It is linear television, and that's where the Pac-12 hopes to get a lot of people watching their games next season when the new conference group gets together. By the way, Steve, did you know that this is homecoming weekend for Washington State? They're currently one of 2 teams actually playing in the Pac-12 right now, along with Oregon State. And some fun facts, Steve. Washington State was founded as an agricultural college, and did you know, Steve, that it holds 2 recognized NCAA national championships? Do you care to guess what those are and what years they occurred, Steve? Go.
What, now I got to go and pull out the Washington State stuff that you pulled that out from that we are both going to forget as soon as this game's over? No,
I'm going to tell you. I don't
care. I don't care.
1937.
Good for them.
1937 boxing and 1977 track and field. So there you go for you Washington State Cougar buffs. But Washington State, they won last week. We'll talk a little bit more about that in the pieces coming up. But the Aztecs are looking to go 2-0, and the momentum hopefully will continue. What are you thinking about this game?
Here's what I think. That the coach of Washington State is in the same spot as Coach Lou was last season, where he's having to remake an entire roster. And here's what I know about how Coach Lou and the rest of the Aztecs are playing. Same thing I feel about the Washington State trivia that you just learned. They don't care. They don't care. They
Come
just
on, that
want
was
to
good
win.
stuff. Good stuff. Come on.
It's a dessert wax and a floor topping. Anyways, Lewis, some controllables to control for the Aztecs. We'll talk about that piece, as I mentioned, coming up. But in the meantime, let's get to your sterling coverage of the Monday presser. Take it away.
Steve, San Diego State coach Sean Lewis understands about the growing pains that a football team deals with during a coach's first season. While the Aztecs are trying to improve upon last season's disappointing 3-9 debut season for Lewis, Washington State is adjusting to a new coach this season. Jimmy Rogers comes to Washington State after 12 seasons at South Dakota State and the past 2 as head coach. While his team is 1-0 after defeating Idaho last week 13-10, Cougars have a lot of work to do, most obviously on the offensive side, where they finished with just 211 yards of total offense and just 49 yards on the ground. In discussing Washington State, Lewis said what stands out most is that the Cougars found a way to win.
Right. I mean, so like good teams do that even when they don't necessarily have their A stuff, right? And you can tell that they got some really talented kids that, stepped up and found a way to win. You can see a young quarterback that, leaned on his training and went on a game-winning drive. That's not easy to do. They do a really good job formationally. They trade, shift, motion quite a bit, right? So they force you to communicate, do a good job getting leverage, extra hats to different gaps. And then, their wideouts are still very, very talented, right? Defensively, they have 6 South Dakota State players who came over that are starters for them, right? So they have intimacy and knowledge of the scheme, and they own it, and they do a really good job with it. So again, there's 75 new players up there, if I'm not mistaken, right, with the transition and everything. 22 of them came over from South Dakota State. They're proven winners there at South Dakota State. Coach has done a great job there, obviously winning a national championship. He's got a good process. He's got a good plan. And again, like when push came to shove, when they needed stops, when they needed scores, they got that, right? And they found a way to win. And again, that's a trait of a good ball team. So we got to do a good job owning our process and, giving them the respect that they've earned, obviously, right? And know who they are and go up there and play our best ball.
Coach Rogers says he knows what he's up against in facing a San Diego State defense that shut out Stony Brook, holding them to under 100 yards in total offense.
As a team, I think they're a really stout team. I think their defense is really solid. I know Coach Ulrich. He was at University of South Dakota, and then he was at University of Idaho, and he joined San Diego State staff. So I'm familiar with the defensive structure in which he runs, and they're really good on defense. I don't care what level you're playing or opponent you're playing to hold somebody to 95 total yards in a game and shut somebody out with multiple all-conference and preseason award guys, as well as one of the top defensive players in the country playing DN for them. It's going to be a challenge, and our guys need to respond to that challenge, and we need to get ready to play our best football this upcoming week. As far as their offense, I think they got some real skill. Obviously, a fresh quarterback this season. And we got to make sure defensively we do our part to minimize, explosive plays and take out some of their key players. Well aware of what we're going up against defensively, and then you look at the players that they have played in defense. This is a veteran group. I think they got really one underclassman in their outside linebacker, who is also a preseason. I think their linebackers are really good, and I think they got a lot of depth on the back end with a lot of length and good speed, and they got one of the best edge rushers in the country.
Despite Washington State struggling on the ground, Coach Lewis says his team can't see that as a sign of weakness for the Cougars. He expects Washington State to be laser-focused on running the ball effectively this week, and that his team has to be ready.
I mean, we talk since day one, since we've been here, right, about our plan to win is to control the controllables, to be able to run the ball, to be able to kill the run, and then to be the more physical special teams, right? And so, we've evaluated the tape. We've seen it. Obviously, they take pride in running it and listening to Coach Rogers' comments after their game, right, like something that he was not proud of. So I know that we're going to get, a true fastball probably here with their run game and what they're going to do. So we got to do a great job, because of obviously who they are and the style of play that they want to be able to control the line of scrimmage. Well, that's what we want to do as well, right? And so we got to be locked in and dialed into our keys and to do a great job and play with great pad level and give multiple hats to the ball carriers to stop that run game that I know that they're going to be invested in.
This will be the second start for San Diego State's new quarterback, Jaden Denegal, who was 13 of 25 for 207 yards against Stony Brook. While he showed off his arm a few times with some long completions, Denegal also showed some inconsistency in completing just over 50% of his passes. For the Aztecs offense to be most effective this season, there must be a higher completion percentage to help sustain drives. But despite that, Lewis had high praise for his new quarterback.
I thought he was great throughout. I really did. I mean, there was a couple throws that he wished they would have had back, but I thought the way that he was seeing it, his competitive style and his competitive nature of play, like he did a really good job of knowing, when to take a hit, when not to take a hit, good decision making. But he was even keel through it all. I mean, whether it was a 13-play, 15-play scoring drive, or it was one of the 3 and outs that we had, like we came to the boundary and his response, his look in his eye was same as, right? And that's what you want to have. You don't want a guy who's too high or too low. You want a guy who, is really steady as he goes, and I thought he was that Thursday night.
Steve, the Aztecs had some offensive success in the first half. Their opening drive ended with a touchdown after a 7.5-minute drive. But the third quarter did not go as well, with the Aztecs able to just gain 1 first down in their first 3 second-half possessions. At this week's media availability, I asked Coach what went wrong in the third quarter. He talked about that and also talked about why he got so heated on the sidelines that he felt he had to pull his team aside during the game to talk about those third quarter inefficiencies.
Coach, looking back at the tape from Saturday, the offense in the third quarter sort of wasn't as effective as the rest of the game. In looking at the tape, did you see anything specific that might have led to that?
Yeah, lack of focus. That's what I was probably most disappointed in, right? And, why I called the team up. There were some things that was happening there in the third that was not who we're going to be. And so I wanted to put a stop to it. And so we addressed it and we corrected it. And game day production did an awesome job with the danger zone for the first time. And maybe we got to flicker the lights a little bit earlier, right, to get the boys refocused and to go. But then we came back and won the danger zone, right? So, our focus waned there for a moment. But the one thing that this team has done, whether it be winter conditioning all the way through training camp in particular, when we've had so much time together, is that they respond. Like there's a burning hunger and a burning desire to be coached, and they respond to the coaching, which is really cool. So they didn't get in their feels or have an ego about it. They acknowledge this isn't to our standard, and let's go play. Let's go operate, and let's change the environment, and let's not let the environment dictate to us, what or how we're going to react. Because I don't do that too often. I think they kind of, again, they've spent a lot of time around me. And I would like to believe that when they come in the building, they know who I'm going to be. I mean, shoot, all of us have spent a lot of time. You guys have a general idea of what I'm going to be like, right? So, that's the first time ever as a head coach I've ever called the team up in the middle of a game like that. It's the first time I've ever done it. Felt it was important in that moment, right? It's kind of one of those things that we were talking about, the reflection in the mirror, where I want to be better, in real time. If there's something that's not to our standard, I'm not going to wait till Sunday to address that. We're going to capture this in the moment, right now, and nip it in the bud.
Steve, according to Kirk Kenny of the UT, there were just over 13,000 fans at Snapdragon for the opener. That was the smallest crowd for a home opener since Snapdragon opened. And while he does hope for bigger crowds in the future, Coach Lewis says he really appreciates those fans who did make it out.
And I'm very thankful for the fans that showed up and showed out. It was awesome. And I'm thankful for all the fans that have showed up and supported us since day one. And I hope they had a great time and they saw a great team that played hard, that looked focused, was accountable to our standard, that played a smart brand of football, that was tough, that was Aztec fast. And I hope they enjoyed themselves with the music and the game day production and the drinks and the food and the family fun, and realize hey, you know what? I can get a ticket for $20, $25. And I can show up. And so now I'm going to tell a friend so that in 2 weeks' time, not to look ahead, but in 2 weeks' time when Cal shows up here and we have another opportunity to do this at home, that's even better, and that more people want to come and be a part of it, and everyone else at a grander scale gets to see who these young men are.
Steve, for what it's worth, after shutting out Stony Brook, the Aztecs now lead the nation in scoring defense, pass efficiency defense, red zone offense, and red zone defense. But we'll see where those numbers end up after Saturday's game against Washington State.
Lewis, 'twas Satchel Paige who was once quoted as saying, "Don't look back, someone might be gaining on you." But this is Aztecs All In, which means we can't help but be all in on looking back at that Stony Brook game. But that's only because we try to apply that previous moment to the future. Simply put, if the Aztecs are to win in a tough environment and go 2-0 and win their first game against an FBS opponent this season, well, let's just say that a third quarter like the one they had against Stony Brook would make it that much tougher. Now, as for their opponent, Washington State, Lewis, you mentioned they did find a way to win against cross-border rival Idaho, despite there being a remade squad in their first game with a new coach. Somewhat reminiscent of the way the Cougs came back against San Diego State at Snapdragon last season. Washington State was ranked at the time, and the Aztecs were trying to get their record above 500. Instead, the Cougars' all-everything QB, John Mateer, now slinging it for Oklahoma, rallied from 12 points down to win. Aztecs never won again last season, while the Cougars finished 8-5, played in the Holiday Bowl. But it's a new era. Aztecs now in year 2 with their coach Sean Lewis, while the Cougars have new coach Rogers, late of South Dakota State, with some familiar players from the Jackrabbits, but he's now trying out a run-based identity with many FCS players. That's why this is a totally different game. And Aztecs Bullet, a.k.a. strong safety Dalesean Staley, says that's how the team is treating it. Big crowd, national TV, and all.
Whenever you lose against a team in a tight game, you always want to get back to it. But last year, this is a whole different team. This year is a team that's going to be more focused. And right now, we're just focused on the next game and the next opponent, so it has to be Wazzou. And so right now, we're just focused on getting back in and just being there as a team. And as we're focused and staying consistent, results are going to happen. Crowds come around, I wouldn't say it's much of an advantage, you can have teams with packed-out crowds and they still lose. You feel me? The crowd can only do so much in a game. It's really up to the team on who's going to win the game. So crowd is just there to watch the game, have fun, but figure out who's going to win is going to be between the teams.
And besides, says Jacob Bostik, his teammate on the offensive side, it's what they train for every day.
Personally, I love that. I think I don't think anybody on our team shies away from a big fan base or anything like that. So we know going into it that they're going to be ready to go, and so that's our job to be prepared.
Of course, Coach Lewis, a big fan of controlling the controllables. Not bad advice for anyone facing a challenge. After all, the only thing you really have complete control over is how you choose to respond to them, right, Lewis? Ask Coach Lou and the players what controllables they need to keep top of mind if they're going to come out on top on Saturday.
Yeah, our effort, our attitude, our focus, where we put our time and our energy, right? Like campus is alive and well, right? Like it's a day off. There's a lot of distractions we live in a great city, right? Like there's a lot of things that are going on here, right? And we're leading a bunch of great young men, but young men can get distracted at times, right? And so one of the biggest controllables is just where are we putting our time, our effort, and our energy? Like in what direction is that pointed? And then to what depth are we really drilling down into it, right? And so like that's our preparation. That's knowing, again, like the calls, the intent of the calls. Why are we making the calls? Why is that call carrying this week, but we didn't carry it last week? Well, these guys are a 4 down front. They're a 3 down front, right? Like there's nuances to each plan that as the plan comes together, like you need to know the why behind the call, not just what the call is, but why are we calling it? How do I execute it? And not just how do I execute it against this one look? Well, what if they throw this problem at me or that problem at me or this problem at me, right? Like you got to have the answers to the test so that come the day of, when everyone turns their eyeballs to it, you can pass the test with flying colors.
I say controllable that we need to do is just being able to read formations, get calls out faster, just staying locked in, not letting loose. Like, even if we get a lead, still act like it's 0-0. Just that focus from staying locked in mentality part of it, not treating like we're too good or like we're too high. Just leave it at a playing level.
For sure. And when I think of controllables, I think of just the daily things that we do. So, as receivers or just anybody on the field, alignment, assignment, and then execute. You know what I mean? So if we can each play, get aligned, know the assignment, and then execute at a high level, should be good to go.
Lewis, one more look back, trying to get a little bit more inside that team meeting in the third, where Coach Lou, who tries to be on an even keel, felt the need to put in his 2 cents worth then and there and not let it wait. Asked the players about their perspective from that very quick team meeting.
Whenever you get the head man in front of you, it should say something, because, like, for me, when I see the head man in front of me, that means, like, he really cares, and, like, of course he really cares because he wouldn't be here if he didn't, but he really cares, and he knows the power that we have in this team, and so he just wants to get that little piece that he knows that we have and just to keep it out there. He just wants to keep the team focused on us and the main thing and keep it the main goal, so that's all that was about.
I was going to say the same thing. I think that was just more of getting everybody focused and realigned. And so, yeah, just like you said, anytime the head man's in front of you, everybody locks in really well. So that was really just to finish strong and not let anything loose.
I wouldn't even say the focus slipped. You know, sometimes coaches just feel like at the time they feel like they've seen, like, if it's people that not playing, they seem like their focus is off, so they would get them reattached. Focus never slips over here. We're always focused. We know what's the main thing. We keep the main thing, and we keep on going next play. If something mess up, we refocus and get back on the next play.
Because he talked about that moment and that he doesn't raise his volume that often. Is that true? And what was it like to be in that situation?
I think that was definitely true. Coach Lou's definitely a mellow guy. I mean, he's going to get his point across no matter what. But, yeah, he definitely jumped on us a little bit, and like I said, put everybody in check and just remembered, like, hey, we got a game to finish. Like, regardless of what the situation is, like, we got to handle our business just like that. So definitely was helping everybody realign and refocus.
Yeah, like he said, he's a real, like, mellow guy. He really doesn't talk. He really wants us, the team, to take over the team. Most teams that are great teams, the players are the ones that take over the team. So he really likes us to be in those positions to go out there and get the team ready. But when there's moments and times he feel like he has to step up, he'll step up, and we'll be right there with him, behind him.
In that instance, Lewis, the team responded well, outplayed Stony Brook 14-0 in the fourth quarter, won the danger zone. Aztecs may be somewhat out of their comfort zone, playing in front of a hostile crowd on the road, so it should provide some insight into how much the team has truly progressed. Wins on the road, always hard to come by, no matter who you're playing or where.
Yes, Steve, the road was not kind to San Diego State last year. Of course, they only won 3 games, one of those on the road, and that was against Wyoming. So if they could somehow pull out a W here against Washington State, go 2-0, that would be a great start to this season, and we'll see if they can pull it off.
Yes, once again, Washington State is a remade program with a lot of guys from the FCS division, which is one step below, theoretically, from the Aztecs FBS. Seeing how they match up, they had a tough time pulling out the win last minute against Idaho, an FCS squad. So we will be watching with great interest to see how this plays out.
Indeed we will, and I think that'll wrap this one up, huh?
So soon? Okay, right, there it is. It felt like we were just getting started, but we will look forward to seeing that TV coverage from the CW. 8.2 if you're over the air. I just like the sound of that. Even though I'm not a big soccer fan. Goal! Okay. That is my cue. Since I'm rambling, it's time to sign off. Say goodnight, Steve. We will see you after the Washington State game. See, now I go into the weeds again. We're not going to see anybody. This is an audio podcast. You will hear from us after the Washington State game. Meantime, you can check us out on the X, and you can also drop us a note at Gmail. The account there is aztecsallin@gmail.com. The X marks the spot. Moniker is Aztecs_all_in. So for Lewis Weiner, this is Steve Perez saying we will talk to you soon.